It was a cold, gray afternoon, the kind of day when the wind cut through even the thickest coat and the sky seemed determined to keep the sun hidden. Claire had just finished sweeping the small porch of her modest little house when she noticed movement at the far end of the street. Two small figures were making their way down the sidewalk, heads bowed against the wind. Even from a distance, she could tell they were children. They moved slowly, as if each step took effort, and something about their hunched shoulders tugged at her heart, as they got closer. Claire saw their clothes were thin and worn, their shoes caked with mud. The taller one, a boy of about 10, was trying to shield the smaller girl, who looked maybe 7, from the wind by holding his coat open behind her. It was a kind gesture, but the coat was far too small to offer much protection. They looked cold, hungry, and utterly exhausted. Claire didn't know them, but she didn't need to. She knew that look. She had worn it herself as a child, when there wasn't enough food in the house and winters felt endless. Without thinking, she called out to them, "Hey there. You two are? You all right?" The boy hesitated, glancing at the girl, then back at Claire. "We're fine, ma'am," he said quietly, though his chapped lips and trembling hands told a different story. Claire stepped closer. "You're shivering. Come inside for a moment. It's warm in there." They exchanged uncertain glances. She could see the instinctive caution in their eyes, the kind of wariness children learn when they've had to take care of themselves. But hunger can strip away hesitation, and eventually the boy nodded. Inside. The warmth of the small kitchen wrapped around them. Claire could hear their stomachs growling, though neither of them said a word. She put water on to boil, then opened the pantry. She didn't have much money, was always tight, but she had bread, a few vegetables, and some leftover chicken from the night before. While she worked, she asked gentle questions. The boy said his name was Ethan, and the little girl was Lily. Their parents had passed away a year earlier, and since then they had been in and out of different foster homes. None of them had lasted long. Now they were staying in a shelter, but it was overcrowded and noisy, and they often left during the day to wander the streets just to escape. Claire felt a deep ache in her chest as she listened. She remembered her own mother's struggles, the nights when there was nothing for dinner except tea and toast, and how the kindness of one neighbor who shared soup had meant the world. Set the steaming bowls in front of them, hearty chicken stew with thick slices of bread, and watched as they ate. They didn't devour the food greedily, but rather carefully, as though they wanted to make it last. She refilled their bowls twice before they finally leaned back, full and drowsy from the warmth. You can stay here until the shelter opens again tonight, Claire told them. She gave them each a blanket and let them curl up on the sofa, where they soon fell asleep. As she watched them, she felt a quiet certainty settle in her heart. She couldn't solve all their problems, but she could give them this moment of safety. When evening came, she walked them back to the shelter, pressing a small bag of food into Ethan's hands. "For later," she said. "And remember, if you're ever nearby and hungry, you can knock on my door." Over the next few weeks, they did come back every now and then. Sometimes for a meal, sometimes just to sit and do homework at her table. Claire grew fond of them, but eventually they stopped visiting. The shelter had found a permanent placement for them in another town, and she never saw them again. Life went on. Claire grew older, her hair turning silver. She kept the same modest house, worked part-time at the library, and tended to her garden. She thought of Ethan and Lily from time to time, wondering what had become of them. But life has a way of letting old questions fade into the background. 15 years passed. One spring morning, Claire was in her kitchen kneading bread dough. When she heard the deep purr of an engine outside, she glanced out the window and froze. A sleek black luxury car had pulled up in front of her house, so out of place on her quiet street that she wondered if it had taken a wrong turn. Asterisk, the car door opened, and a tall man in a tailored suit stepped out. His hair was neatly styled, his shoes polished, but his face held a look of warmth and familiarity that stirred something deep in her memory. From the other side of the car, a young woman emerged, elegant and confident, her smile lighting up her features. Asterisk, Claire. The man called, his voice carrying across the yard. Asterisk, she wiped her hands on her apron and stepped onto the porch. Yes. Asterisk, it's me, Ethan. And this is Lily. Asterisk, for a moment, she couldn't speak. She saw it now, the boy's kind eyes in the man's face, the girl's delicate features in the young woman. They were older, but it was them. Asterisk, they crossed the yard in a few quick strides, and before she knew it, Lily had wrapped her in a warm hug. Ethan followed, his embrace strong and steady. Asterisk, we've been looking for you, Lily said. For years. Asterisk, Claire blinked back tears. But why? I only gave you a meal. That was nothing. Asterisk, it wasn't nothing, Ethan said firmly. That day we were cold, hungry, and we felt invisible. You made us feel safe. You made us feel human again. Asterisk, they explained how they had been adopted by a kind couple who gave them stability and love. Ethan had gone on to start a successful tech company, and Lily had become a doctor. They had both built lives they were proud of, but they never forgot the woman who had shown them kindness when they were at their lowest. Asterisk, this car, Ethan said, gesturing to the sleek vehicle behind him, isn't just a gift. It's our way of saying thank you. We know you've never had much, but you've always given what you could. We want you to have something beautiful, something that makes your life easier. Asterisk, Claire stared at the car, then back at them. I can't accept something like that. Asterisk, yes, you can, Lily interrupted gently. Because it's not just about the car. We've also set up a fund for you so you never have to worry about bills again. Asterisk, Claire's knees felt weak. Why would you do all this for me? Asterisk, because you taught us that kindness doesn't have to be big to matter, Ethan said. Sometimes the smallest act can change everything. We want to live by that lesson, and it started with you. Asterisk, the three of them spent the afternoon together, catching up over tea and homemade bread. Claire listened to their stories with pride swelling in her chest. She realized she hadn't just fed 2 hungry children that day. She had planted a seed of hope in them, and they had carried it with them through life. Asterisk, when they finally left. Claire stood in the driveway watching the car disappear down the street. The luxury vehicle gleamed in the sunlight. But it wasn't the car or the money that warmed her heart. It was the knowledge that something she had done, something so simple, had rippled through time and come back to her in ways she could never have imagined. Asterisk, and as she went back inside, she thought about the truth of it. You never know how far a single act of kindness can reach, or how many lives it might touch, until one day it comes knocking on your door. Asterisk.